Trump signs an executive order to overhaul or abolish FEMA. Now, this agency has been an absolute disaster throughout its entire existence. It has failed numerous times. I mean, the failures are far greater than anything they've ever actually been able to accomplish as an agency that's designated to handle emergencies. It's something that I believe should squarely be handled by locals, by the state, the highest level, and then the county and the city and the locals should be able to handle disasters very well, much better than what the federal government does when they try to airdrop in people who have to learn the area, learn the terrain, learn the people, learn the everything. They don't have that information, whereas the locals do. They might have all the equipment in the world and great technology and strategies and all this other stuff, but they just tend to come in and mess everything up. We've seen it too many times. If it's a minor disaster, I guess they're okay with it. But once you start getting into major emergencies, that's where they fail miserably. Now, of course, there's the conspiracy theory that I happen to hold to, that the real purpose of FEMA is to establish an infrastructure through which they'll be able to manage the people in a nationwide disaster. In other words, they don't look at it as, hey, how do we handle hurricanes or fires? They look at FEMA as, hey, how do we control millions or tens of millions of survivors after we unleash whatever it is that we're going to unleash? Or just in case somebody else unleashes on us, FEMA's there, in other words, to keep us in line in case there's a major EMP or asteroid or whatever. And I do believe that's the truth, and I would argue that very few people are fully aware of it, but we've seen far too many evidence, or far too much evidence of this being the case. So anyway, but we're not here to rip on FEMA from a conspiracy theory perspective. We've got mainstream facts on our side for this particular story, which comes to us from M. Dowling over at independentsentinel.com. On Sunday, President Trump signed an executive order that aims to overhaul potentially abolish the Federal Emergency Management Agency. The order calls for the creation of a task force called the Federal Emergency Management Agency Review Council to review the agency and recommend changes in a report. These changes could include abolishing the agency. In that case, Congress would have to make the decision, which is why, to be clear, I'm pretty sure that this is going to be about reforming or fixing FEMA and not really abolishing it. I think that if it could be very easily done by decree, that Trump would decree it. But because it's going to take a bit more to get rid of this particular agency, this isn't something where DOJ can just wave a magic wand and all of a sudden they're gone. Back to the article. The council will be composed of the Secretaries of Homeland Security and Defense, as well as experts from the private sector. Standard operating procedure. This is a process that does definitely point to major changes, which, again, would I rather see them abolished rather than overhauled? You betcha. You betcha. I think that any disasters can be handled better at the local, city, and state levels, county as well. But since we can't always have the best case scenario, we can accept and should accept a massive overhaul. And one of the biggest reasons for this is because very few people are saying otherwise. I mean, even the left, even Democrats are like, yeah, let's overhaul FEMA. They suck. Let's overhaul FEMA. Let's fix this. Now, what the overhaul will look like, to me, is probably going to be something that we might not like. There's a bit of centralization component to President Trump's policies, and I think that he likes the idea of having a better FEMA, but one that's still fully in control from a federal level. So be it. I mean, nothing we can do about that. I don't think we can dissuade him from that. So if that's the case, then yes, let's make sure that FEMA is being operated properly. And it's not just about making sure that they're not passing over conservatives' homes. That's I know that was a big deal, especially during Helene. But the bigger deal, the far bigger deal in all of this is not about bias. It's about incompetence. It's about total failures. There are still people who are struggling, suffering, in some cases dying in North Carolina. It was 4 months ago. How much time does FEMA need? I mean, seriously. This makes no sense. This is a complete and total collapse of an agency whose responsibility is specifically for, allegedly, specifically to handle situations such as Hurricane Helene and Milton, for that matter. So yeah, I'll take the overhaul. I would rather have them abolished altogether. But sometimes you got to take the victories as they come, and a massive overhaul of FEMA, I'll take that as a victory. If you like these short clips, you can find all of them over at jdrucker.com/rumble1, the number one, jdrucker.com/rumble1. That's my other Rumble channel where I put all of the shorter stuff, as well as the long stuff. If you just want the full shows, follow me on my main Rumble channel at jdrucker.com/rumble, jdrucker.com/rumble. And of course, if you want long, short, doesn't matter, you can find all of those over at X, x.com/jdrucker.